Welcome back to another episode 85 of the Spittin Hoops podcast. And we're back today on, 2 hours after there was a big announcement of some big trades. And on the day of game 7 of the NBA Finals, obviously Indiana pushing OKC after a crazy game 6. We haven't seen you guys in a few games, obviously. So we'll catch you guys up a little bit on that stuff, cover the Desmond Bane trade, cover the Kevin Durant trade, and then we'll get into game 7, the greatest moment, the greatest venue of greatness in sports, in my opinion. Super Bowl is one thing, that's great and all, but I think the NBA Finals, Game 7, the stakes, longevity, something to be said for it, and I am buzzing. Anthony, how are you feeling?
Dude, it's awesome. Super hype. In our last pod, I think I'd asked you this question of like, when are we going to see a game 7 again? Because I think we both thought the series would be over. And based on the level of parity you'd mentioned, you think it'll be sooner than we think. And here we are already.
That's crazy.
19 game sevens in NBA Finals history, too. So they don't happen very frequently.
They do not, and they're great watches. I mean, the most tense already game sevens in non NBA final series are honestly more tense than games in the final sometimes.
Mm.
When you add both elements together, it's amazing. I mean, the most recent one we saw, right, 2016. I to this day probably one of the most tense, amazing games of basketball that I've ever seen. And I think this one will live up to it, honestly.
I hope so, bro. I hope so. Just keep it tight in the first half.
Yeah, we don't want to see Mavericks Suns. Chris Paul cuts the lead to 50. It's a victory to cut the lead to 50. Game
Yeah, bro.
7. But we have some lesser important news, but still some pretty major news that we need to cover in terms of transactions. We're going to start with today's Kevin Durant trade. Not going to bury the lead there. Obviously, that's probably the biggest news coming out in the last few hours. Rockets receiving Kevin Durant, Suns receiving Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 2025 10th pick, and five second round picks. One of them includes the 59th pick in the draft next or this Thursday, if I remember correctly. Honestly, I got a lot of thoughts, Anthony. Overall, my takeaway here is the Suns did not have a lot of offers, and the Rockets made out like bandits, upgrading Jalen Green straight up to KD, frankly.
Yeah. I'm with you. I didn't really get this. Hopefully they shopped around. Really, really hope they shopped around because is this the best you can get for Kevin Durant? Like, granted, he only has one season left in his contract. Um, but Green, Dillon Brooks, and a pick, like a first round pick. This is a shockingly low offer for a guy who's as good as Kevin Durant. And it puts the Rockets in just instant title contender status with the core that they have. Like unbelievable. The biggest reason why they couldn't beat the Warriors this year.
Yeah,
Answered.
I totally agree. Yeah, it's electric. It's great for KD's career too. I think this is an underrated aspect of this whole trade. It puts him in an amazing spot where if he does his job, this team will be contenders. And we haven't seen that in a while. We usually he has to extend too hard. He usually has to carry a team on his back. Even on the Nets, like Kyrie, him, and Harden had to carry more of the workload than even we expected when the team got put together. And so it's gonna be awesome. It's a really great way for him to cap off his career. I assume he'll just do 1+1s and whatnot till the end of his career. The Rockets have bird rights on him, so just based on how he ages and how he plays, you can adjust his salary year on year. I kind of assume that's the way it'll go for the rest of his career. I can't imagine he wants to get traded again or leave in free agency again. So we'll see. Um, on the Suns wave, I just don't think that many people were interested in this old of a KD. I don't even think the contract is an issue. It's just more that you have no longer you're not trading KD again. When you trade for KD a few years ago, you can talk yourself into I can overpay for him because I'm going to make some assets back on the back end. Like Dame Lillard, when you traded for him 2 years ago, you told yourself, okay, even if Giannis walks, hopefully I could trade with Dame for a pick or two. Thing is here is that there's no assets ever coming back on the back end. He's either walking a free agency, which I doubt, or he's retiring, more likely. And either way, you're at the mercy of KD retiring at any point, and at which case you may or may not be over the salary cap, may or may not be able to replace him, and then you have to give up assets to go do that, right? I think that's the thing is if you go down the list of teams in the NBA, how many people were willing to do that? I don't think the list was that big. Like I think the Spurs were talking themselves into it for a while and decided against it. And when they left the trade negotiations, the market totally went dry. Because who else was going to trade for him? If it wasn't the Rockets, the Heat, or the Spurs, I don't really know what other teams I don't even know what other teams I'm angry at for not trading for him, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Minnesota, I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of curious if Minnesota could figure something out, but all indications were he really didn't want to go there. At some point, I think Minnesota probably should have just said F you and traded for him. But, outside of that, like I don't really all indications are that the Suns have been canvassing the league for 6 months. They announced when the season finished that they were going to trade KD, which is also psychotic, like just terrible negotiation strategy. And I think this is what they ended up with. The only team that I'm kind of like you're psychotic for not trying harder to trade for him is the Heat, and it makes me think that they might be closer to blowing it up than they are to buying.
Yeah.
Apparently, they wouldn't include Jaime, Nikola Jovic, Haywood Highsmith, the 20th overall pick, or any other future draft assets in a deal for Kevin Durant, which just leads me to believe that the Heat were probably just making unserious offers. The Suns have probably just been sitting on this low-balled Houston offer for a while, and at some point they had to take it.
Hmm.
It's crazy. It's a crazy situation.
It is crazy. Um, yeah, it sucks for the Suns. I don't think KD to the Heat would have done much. Like
And
they,
I think that's probably what they told themselves to do.
right,
They were probably like, we still need assets to go get another guy, even if we get KD.
right. Yeah, exactly. Now we're a fifth seed or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for the Suns, I think this is tough. It'll seems like Booker, they're just like, dude, please just give us some time. We'll try to figure
Yeah.
out something for you. He seems like he wants to be one of those guys that's there for life, which would be cool. Um, yeah, but they have to. This is a weird team. Like Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, like both are kind of like forward guards, anyways, and now Devin Booker with that.
I mean, this is a terrible team. I don't think you can look at this team like it's a team. This is a conglomeration of assets. They don't have any draft picks. They're trying to put themselves in a position to regain some picks or figure it out. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like they're cooked. Like, to be honest, like their best bet, like they're not going to be able to reroute Jalen Green. I know they're going to try, but unless the Bucks bail them out, or unless the Nets bail them out, or the Bucks offer them like Kuzma, Connaughton, and second rounders, which I don't even know if the Suns would do at that point. Because if Jalen Green gets good, you might as well just keep him at that point. But um, like he's got 2 years left on his contract. Beal's got 2 years left on his contract. You know, at least 2 years from now, you will have a boatload of cap space you can walk into free agency with hopefully some sort of young core of the 10th pick from this year, Devin Booker and Ryan Dunn. But that sucks. Like that is not a good situation to be in.
Mhm.
And depending on how that free agency goes, or even depending on how the 2 years before then goes, Devin Booker might sketch. So we'll see.
Oh. Dude, that new owner syndrome hit like a ton of
So bad.
bricks. It was
I mean,
terrible.
let's look at it this way, right? They traded OG Cam Johnson for firsts for KD, right?
McHale did.
Um, or yeah, sorry, not Mikhail.
Different name.
Mikhail gets traded for 5 firsts. Cam Johnson's probably going to get traded for 2 31st. So that's probably 11 total firsts for KD, who you just traded for
One.
Desmond Bane, or not Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, the 10th pick, and arguably a negative asset in Jalen Green. Like if the Suns could just eliminate the Jalen Green asset and have that 35 million in cap space this year, they would do it. So
Hmm. No, tough. Very, very excited to see how like I mean the Rockets on paper this feels like such a cool team and very excited for them to talk about them next year. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
I just can't believe the Suns didn't even get remember when the Rockets traded the Nets picks back to get the Suns pick? The Suns weren't even able to get one of their own picks back. And the Rockets have like a lot of their picks. Like yeah, every other year the Rockets basically own the Suns picks or the Wizards own the rights to swap. And so you're traded with one of those two teams, you couldn't even get the picks back because the offers were so bad. And you already announced that you were going to trade him pretty much.
Yeah,
So
your leverage is gone, bro.
yeah. And honestly, they should have traded him a year ago. When they got first rounded last year, they should have traded him. That's the real mess up and all that. And honestly, at the deadline, you can't ask him when you're talking to the Warriors, you can't ask KD if he's okay with the trade.
Yeah.
Like it's stuff like that, and there's a lot of failures along the way, and this is what comes of it. So yeah, the Suns are gonna be bad. I hope Devin Booker gets traded. I love watching him play. I hope he stays on the Suns. Part of me hopes he stays on the Suns, but Devin Booker deserves to be on a good basketball team, and the Suns have done poorly by him since frankly the trading for KD is actually not as bad as like the offseason right after. The Aiton trade and then the Beal trade are just destroyers.
Yeah.
Like, because even if you just dump Chris Paul, you're in a better spot. Like, even if you just dump Chris Paul, like for nothing, which you wouldn't have got nothing,
Right.
you're in a better spot than what you were, like which you were.
Oh,
And Aiton, you traded what alongside Tumani Kamara, who is great for
yep.
Nurkic, who you just dumped alongside a pick this trade deadline.
Yeah.
So like it's so bad. It's killer. Sorry, I could rant about this, but it's just mismanagement across the board. I mean, they did the Suns, they did the Nets thing, but like worse. It was like Timu Nets.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It felt like they just didn't know what they were doing. They were getting pulled. It's like the guy that gets influenced by everything around him. It doesn't have like the internal discipline to like actually pick a path and go for it and like
mhm.
pay attention to what's happening around you.
Yeah,
But he's like, oh, this team did this. Let's go try that. This team did that. Oh, this team tried to build up. Let's try that. Like they didn't really try anything. They just tried nothing half-assedly.
yeah,
Brutal. The Suns are a poverty franchise move this
yeah.
decade.
And this Rockets team is a juggernaut because they still have tons of assets. They have underrated tons of assets, and like they're still in a situation where Reed Shepard's going to be the 12th man next year.
Right. Right. Maybe they'll get some playing time now.
Yeah, honestly, probably not. They still have too many guys. They
It's,
didn't trade anyone who played that much.
it's
Like,
crazy. You put Jalen Green in that spot for where Kevin Durant was, or something adjacent to that. Like the Rockets, they could be in the
oh yeah,
finals.
if you saw, yeah,
Yeah, if you swap Jalen Green and KD, crazy. Um, so
defensively they're gonna be so good. I mean, what starting group now is Van Fleet, assuming he resigns, Amen, KD slash Jabari, and Şengün,
Shingun, yeah.
probably.
Cam, Reason in the back, Reed, like
It's a juggernaut.
Steven
Yeah,
Adams and yesterday.
we haven't even mentioned him. Yeah, we haven't even mentioned him. We got his 3 year extension. So
So congrats to him too.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, nuts. Uh,
Anyways, um, with that, any more thoughts on this? I'm really excited about it. I think the Rockets probably
yeah,
instantly jettison into being like a top 6 team when they probably already were.
yeah.
Like regular season wise, they probably were already going to be a top 16. Now they're like a qualified top 16 playoff wise.
On paper, this answers the question. Did you see there's a video of like KD who's like being interviewed and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's funny. Um,
so crazy. They're
smart.
literally modern NBA. Oh
Yeah,
man.
it is. Now excited though, excited to talk about them.
Yeah. Okay, with that, let's move to the Grizzlies and the Desmond Bane trade.
It's
Um, this I think is an electric trade. This is Desmond Bane getting sent from the Grizzlies to the Magic for KCP, Cole Anthony, 2025 16th pick, and then picks in 2028, 2030 unprotected, and a first round pick swap in 2029. This is also will include a 2026 pick swap with the Suns. So basically, the Wizards will have the first right to swap with the Suns, but the Wizards are also going to be bad. And then the Grizzlies will then have the right to swap with the Suns again. And then if the Wizards swaps pick with the Suns, obviously then the Grizzlies will be getting Grizzlies the Wizards pick. Anyways, this pick basically this 2026 pick is either going to be the Wizards pick or the Suns pick, and that's probably a top 10 pick, right? So that's just the way to look at this. I think that's the crown jewel draft asset here. This 2026 pick swap thing that's going on. That said, I think this solves a ton of problems for Orlando. This is electric. I think that's the story here. Desmond Bane, even for 5 picks, I think is an amazing player. I've always been a fan of him, and I think offensively, a shoulder to workload that has been underrated in both in creation, shooting, etc. over the last 3, 4 years. I think he's going to solve a lot of problems for the Magic, not all of them, but the four-man of Suggs, Desmond Bane, Paolo, Franz, all being locked down on long-term contracts and being young on the same timeline. It's a great core. It's one of the best ones in the East as a four-man core, healthy wise, etc. Probably one of the best ones in the East we have right now.
Yeah, they look great. I mean, they emptied out the entire treasure chest.
Yeah.
I don't know what else they have in terms of like future assets to trade, but this team looks good. I mean, watch the first round obviously against the Celtics very closely, and their big issue was like they just couldn't shoot their way into games. Um, and obviously they didn't have Jalen Suggs, so you still have some great guard depth. A lot of size. You mentioned shouldering the load. Like this dude, he's massive. He's jacked. So this team's like strong. They're tall. They're versatile. This is a great team. This team kind of reminds me of the Rockets, low key, like a little bit. Um, like just
They're, I will say though, they have way better offensive finishers at this point. Bane, I think, is an underrated, like, I mean, he's one of the best shooters in the league. If it's not Steph Curry, I think he's in the top three, if you're not
he's
counting Steph too. If we're talking shooting. And then this is also a guy who's averaged, 6 rebounds, almost 6 assists at the shooting guard slot on like better than average defense. Like, I think it's gone. I'm pro Desmond Bane's defense, but there's been a lot of glazing of it over the last few days. But like if he's your fourth best defender, fifth best defender, you're in a great spot, right? So, um, yeah, I think it's awesome. I think, and I at the end of games, they're gonna have guys they can go to, and they have a clear hierarchy where it's gonna be Paolo number one, and then Franz, Bane, Suggs. The guys are taking a back seat, but if there's a three ball going up in the last 2 minutes, it better be from Desmond Bane, and I'm excited. I'm really excited for that. I think that they're going to be a really good late game team next year.
yeah. No, this is going to be great, and it'll just create more spacing, give guys more time to shoot. Maybe their percentages go up. Like it's just one of those things where it's snowball effects.
Yeah. And so the future draft wise, they still have a first this year, actually, funny enough.
Uh,
But then they have a first in 2027. They get their swap, the worst of their swap with the Suns, or with the Grizzlies in 2029, right? And then they still have a first in 2031. I mean, let's just say you take your 2027 first and you send it with Willie Cauley Stein, Jesus, Wendell Carter Jr. to the to the Hornets for Mark Williams. Like
yeah,
now we're really talking, and like that's also, Wendell Carter could still get better. He's still a young player, and there's room for him both
yeah,
on this team and in this league. But you could upgrade that slot feasibly and have just a great starting lineup, even with the draft capital you have left after this trade.
yeah. Jonathan Isaac stays getting hurt. You're kind of already playing with house money with him. Just see what he can do. Goga's been a great sort of backup center for a while now. Yeah, this is a really solid team.
Could you take Wendell if you took Wendell and JI, Jonathan Isaac, and added two firsts that you still have? You could probably trade for a very good player with that.
Yeah,
Like if okay, what about this? This is a bad example because I don't think it's a good fit. But this ilk of player, Sabonis. If you offer two unprotected first, 2027, 2031, and then you give them this 2025, this draft pick you currently have in this draft, plus Jonathan Isaac and Wendell Carter, that's a competitive offer. I mean, I don't know if the Kings do that, and I don't think the Magic would do that too, because I don't think they like the Sabonis fit in Orlando either. But that ilk of player, I mean, you can put a competitive offer for still with a player like that if you want to go all the way in.
yeah,
And they also have lots of second round picks, by the way. Throughout these next 7 years, I think they have like two first round picks on average a year, so they can fill out the roster, kind of a la the Warriors, where they get like the Quentin Post every year, or like you
hmm
know, they're not good, but you can fill out a roster. It's
yeah,
not Ishnet,
right.
like no flame.
No flame. Yeah, bro, they'll be good. I think they could be top four.
I think they probably will be.
Yeah,
That's gonna be a great team. And then on the Grizzlies thing,
yeah.
I feel like this is a capitulation at like this West is too good, and they're probably not going to compete with the state of that team, and they probably need some more youth to develop before they can truly compete. I think it's probably like like the admission that Memphis is doing here.
Well, they still got a lot of depth. Like, what do you think they do?
Kind of think they just run it back. That kind of thing they just run it back, keep adding, see if another guy develops into a Desmond Bane, if not better.
Hmm.
And if it's still stalling, and if the team gets worse and worse, and John Morant doesn't improve, maybe he's the next one out.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, they're about to give Jaren Jackson Jr. a gigantic extension, and I'd be a little nervous. I'd be a little nervous. It feels Markkanen-esque,
Mm. Oh,
if that
limits
makes
the
any sense.
flexibility.
Yeah, it's just you're destroying your flexibility, and instantly you destroy his trade market. Because when at the 25 million year mark, like the Warriors can trade for him and give you like six first. You
Yeah.
know, if once he's at 45, you've got to trade him for Brad Gill. Like and
Yeah, yeah.
first, but um,
Yeah, you got to make the contracts match.
yeah. So we'll see. I'm very curious as to what the Grizzlies
Yeah.
do. I think they're going to be really bad next year, though. Frankly, like both the Suns and the Grizzlies, I would be, yeah, I'd
Bro,
be
I think they
nervous.
should get ahead of it. I think they should get ahead of it.
You
Just
think it's just blow
saying,
it?
you got it, bro. Like, you got it. The West's too good. Like,
Well, this is a theory that I have is if you blew it up now, this is the peak value that you could get probably for Jaren.
Ja
And
and
then,
Jim. Maybe not
yeah,
Ja.
Ja depends on how you feel about him, I think. And there's also like they probably know what offers are out there for Ja. I think it's easy to see Ja as probably a top 20 player, but also it's like someone giving you top 20 player value for that.
Right. Probably not.
But Jaren, if Jaren is on the market, I think he's probably getting a ton.
Yeah. I mean, there we go with maybe there's a guy for the Magic.
What about the Spurs? What about the Spurs? What if we get Wemby and Jaren? Jaren doesn't want to rebound and he wants to sit on the perimeter on offense anyways.
And he can play defense near the rim too, anyways.
Yeah.
That's scary in
And he
two.
can shoot.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be
Yeah,
fun.
I don't know. Like, I think you could like that's but they won't do that because, I don't know, too risky. And I don't know, I don't know if the GM's got that much real estate, They were a 50-win team. Won 50 wins. They had 50 wins 3 straight seasons just 2 years ago. So,
Yeah. I mean, they won
pretty
49 this year.
what?
They won 40 and they won 49 this year.
Yeah, but I think for some reason, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Desmond Bane was the issue in this team at all.
No.
I think yeah,
They had some offensive issues. And I mean, they also just got really bad injury luck too, consistently.
okay. I think John Morant's a really great player, but I think he's really limiting too in terms of what offense you can even run. He doesn't
Yeah.
shoot the ball well enough. He doesn't work without the ball well enough. So he needs the ball a lot, and a lot of times he's standing idly on the 3-point line if he doesn't have the ball.
Yeah.
Um, and he doesn't play defense. Or he doesn't play defense. He's not an amazing defender or anything. So it's like you're
Yeah.
you're right now your team with Derrick Rose,
Yeah.
and
And you don't have the backup cast that Derrick Rose had.
yeah. Well, you know what? I would argue. I think this is. My counter argument actually is maybe his backup cast was really good, and maybe Desmond Bane was counted on being one of the primary scorer on a team whose best player was John Morant, and that's why he went 20 for 80 in the first round because the offense don't look great when your team's got John Morant,
No.
unless you have like four shooters. Like that's the thing. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Tough, tough, tough time for the Grizzlies.
yeah, I don't know. Jalen Wells, get ready to speak 35 minutes a game.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I don't know. Tough time. Okay. Anyways, that's enough of the trades. You want to get into game seven?
Yeah, yeah, let's do it.
All right, take us away.
Yeah. So, fun fact for 84, Rick Carlisle. Obviously, he is the oldest coach in NBA Finals history I saw. Um, but he is also our one and only Rick Carlisle, drafted in 1984. Not the most famous guy in 1984. Yeah, of course, Hakeem, MJ, Barkley, Alvin Robertson was a great player. Kevin Willis, longtime player, John Stockton, and our man Otis Thorpe as well. So shout out to Otis.
Legend. Shout out.
But congrats to Rick Carlisle on potentially securing two of the most incredible franchise rings in history, really, to be if he pulls this off, and he's the coach for the Mavs and for the Pacers' only rings. Friggin' incredible, man.
I mean, he's always gotten credit for that run, right? And for always being a great coach. Like he was always a Hall of Famer before, but competing in the eras of the Popoviches, the Phil Jacksons, the Steve Kerrs, the Spoelstras, I mean, now he's gonna go into not he was already in the same conversation as them. Now he's like at the table and like yeah, like you undeniably at the table with those guys, you know.
Yeah. And for last year too. I mean, give good credit. I mean, back-to-back conference finals, NBA finals, game seven. Oh man. Huh. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, what are your thoughts on just I mean, we finally got our 7 game series, a couple of blowouts, of course, in the last 2 games, but obviously some really close games. I think the first 4 games were pretty solid back and forth. Close enough going into the fourth quarters. Yeah, how do we feel?
Um Okay, honestly, so I have like a lot of thoughts, but frankly, if I look around the league and I'm like, there are some teams who didn't go all in, and like the Warriors, frankly, of the world, and even like the T-Wolves, arguably of the world, and even like the Pistons of the world. And I look at this series and the way it's rolled out, both of these teams are really, really good and they have really good play styles and it's amazing to watch. But these are both very beatable teams, which makes it fascinating. The path to victories don't feel evident, but they are findable from both of these teams. And so both of these teams have won in vastly different ways. So, like defensively, um, the Pacers were really good at the beginning of the series. Obviously, then game six, they're up 60 by the second quarter, and it's like different they have different ways to attack each other, which has made this game of chess that's going down so fascinating. And Rick Carlisle is frankly getting the best of Mark Dagnall on that end. Um, frankly, my thoughts are I've been really worried about the Thunder. J Dub has looked really good, and offensively, he's a qualified second star offensively, and Shea is a qualified first star offensively. But the way the series is going, you need a third guy, and Chet has not been there. Like I've said before, I think Chet is more of a problem solver than, a certified third scorer. And somehow the Thunder need it. I can't believe it. Like, because the Pacers are that good defensively, it's keeping them in the games despite the Thunder offense, in general. And their Pacers offense is so good, it keeps them in the game versus the Thunder defense that the Thunder have to turn to a third scorer on a lot of these games. And if you don't get the Aaron Wiggins, 10 minutes, four threes, if you don't get the Caruso 20 point per game, 20 game outbursts like they got earlier in the series, it makes it really hard to win a game,
Mm.
which also leads into my prediction
Oh
for
boy.
this game seven. I'm gonna take the Pacers.
Oh,
Yeah, this is electric. I can't believe I'm doing it.
oh.
I'm gonna take the Pacers. I think game seven is about a pacing, it's about confidence, it's about having people who are willing to shoot the ball even if they don't make it, and then people who know it's time to stop shooting the ball even if they don't make it, which also comes down to coaching a lot of times. Um, I think the Pacers, they'll find a third guy, they'll find a fourth guy. I'm not confident the Thunder will find a third guy tonight. Will the Thunder even need it? If SJ has 50, you don't need Chet to have 20, right? But the odds that that happens, I think, are pretty low. And I think the Pacers are going to find ways to put the ball in the basket, as they've done all series. So I'm going to take them on the road into game seven, being the fifth team ever to win a road game seven.
Man, I love that. Yeah, I'll probably stay with the norm just for the normal pick.
Fair enough.
As much as I've stood with Indiana over the last few series, I can't believe I had them losing to Milwaukee. That's crazy.
I just
Um,
don't think, are they going to turn the ball over? If they don't turn the ball over tonight, I don't know if the Thunder can win a game seven.
I just think the question I have is Halliburton's calf, or his hamstring rather, if he'll be all right. Because I mean, the Thunder just shot so badly, and their offense was so stagnant. It just felt like they didn't play with very much urgency in Game Six. Almost like they just knew that they were going to come back because they're so used to it. Um, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it'll be a Shea game, but if Shea has, I think he could have his 32, and then you just get your Lou Dort 4 threes, your Aaron Wiggins couple threes. Great defense. I just see the thing that I think most people are predicting happen. They win a game by 8. Um, but I mean, it could totally go the other way.
Fair enough.
Totally.
Game six, like the Pacers did not shoot the ball well. That's the thing that worried me the most out of like a lot of that game six is the Pacers did not shoot they shot worse from the field than the Thunder.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
that's one of the things that really worries me here. And I was worried about the Halliburton stuff, and um, he was a lot better in game six than I expected him to be. Um, I think he led the Pacers in plus minus, something like that. But if he was able to give you that performance in game six, I can't imagine it'll be any worse with 3, 4 days rest. And this is messed up. I think if he's on the court and it's game seven, it doesn't really matter what your body can't tell you anything. You have too much adrenaline running. You play basketball, you don't
Right.
you're not on the court going, second quarter, time for me to go 50% because my hamstring strain. You're like,
Yeah.
no, it's the game seven of the NBA finals. So it could either result in a torn ACL or it could either result in him like cooking, right? So we'll see. But yeah, I think I'm gonna take the Pacers. I think they actually have a perfect play style to win on the road in game seven. I think this is not dependent on anyone. This isn't and that would be the opposite. Like if it was like LeBron James on the road in a game seven, you could convince me that that's the other way. But I think another way for a team to win a road game seven is a situation like this, where it's the power of friendship, and they're gonna score 100 points. Or the Thunder. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, they set the record last year for field goal percentage in a game seven against the Knicks, so maybe they just shoot them out the gym. They could.
And obviously the Thunder could, do Thunder things too. Obviously an amazing team, but just this series has gone in a way that has been surprising to me. Obviously, I didn't pick the Pacers, but when I look back at the Nuggets series and this series, this Thunder team is beatable, and that's why I led with the fact that I think there's a lot of teams that should be kicking themselves for not going all in. Um,
Yeah. And I mean, I think it goes to show too, like this is such a league that's up for grabs. We
any
were
given
all
year.
on the Thunder, like, oh, Thunder gonna win the next three chips. Like, this is
3 days ago, ESPN was dropping articles like that, or it was like
urban door.
the looking back at Presti's run.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah. Tonight's what matters. I mean, and they could win the next three rings. They very well could. They just need
yeah,
one game. Um,
absolutely.
and
So
they
for the
are
pace,
they are undefeated in the playoffs after a loss, and they only had two back-to-back losses during the regular season. So, was that well, like 18-2 following the loss? So, they probably lock in. It'll definitely be a more competitive game, that's for sure.
yeah.
Open for it, bro.
I think it's going to be an electric game. I think this game is going to be awesome. I mean, this will be, if the Pacers win this game, this will be the single best moment in their franchise history, right?
Yeah, wait. Yeah, should we talk about that? Like what this means?
Oh yeah, I mean, that was just instantly where my mind jumped at for this is like, I think the Thunder, this would mean a lot, right? And this would be very important to them. But they've been in and around greatness, and they've had greatness at their doorstep, and they have a clear long-term runway. It would be devastating to lose Game Seven. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but the Pacers winning this, frankly, both due to the culture of basketball there, due to the historicness of that franchise, and the not adjacentness they've been to greatness over the last probably 30 years. They've had flashes with Reggie, they've had flashes with your Jermaine O'Neals of the world and
Yeah. Yes.
your Paul Georges, obviously.
Right. Right.
Um, but they have not been as adjacent to the finals as the Thunder have been for the last 15 years, right? So, um, but overall, it would probably be the best moment in the Thunder's history, but it would definitely be the best moment in the Pacers' history, no matter
Absolutely.
what.
And
And
out of nowhere.
out of nowhere, unexpected, from a team. I think this is something I was also thinking about. This team isn't homegrown, but it's almost
It feels
good
hungry.
that way. It feels
Yeah.
homegrown because you traded for Halliburton when he was young. You
It,
you got Neesmith when he was nothing from the Celtics. You picked up McConnell 5 years ago when the
yeah.
76ers gave up on him. You picked up Obi Toppin for a second round pick when the Knicks gave up on him. You go down the line, it's all a bunch of guys like that, and no one else here is a high draft pick. You have
Yeah.
Nemhard, 30 whatever his pick.
Right.
You have Miles Turner, who was drafted on this team 10 years ago in an iteration of this team that had Oladipo and Sabonis, right? So this team feels like really connected. I this would feels like the proper team to win a chip for the Pacers in this style for the franchise's history, and I'm really rooting for it, honestly. Like I hate to say I'm rooting for one or the other. I'm rooting for a good game over anything, even if the Thunder won and it wasn't a blowout. I'd rather that than the Pacers winning a blowout, but I am part of me is really rooting for the Pacers in this series in this game seven.
Yeah, I feel like we all kind of have the expectation that the Thunder will win a chip, so why would we root for them? But who knows? I mean, as a Pats fan, I remember telling one of my cousins after Pats beat the Seahawks in 2014, saying, "Hey, you guys got a decade of this stuff with Russell Wilson and the Legion of Boom.
Hmm.
Didn't work out. So this stuff can go away real quick, and the Thunder should not sit on this and go, okay, we got time."
Well, right after the Bucks won the
Yeah.
maybe I'll put the screenshot up here, but I used to make other videos on the side, and right after the Bucks won the finals in 2021, basically my whole premise of the video is like they should really enjoy it because I'm a little worried they'll never get back
Mhm.
here or close. And lo and behold, you
And
know, yeah. And so you never know this stuff for example, or even like the Suns, for example. They lost in the NBA finals, and 3 years later, they've got Jalen Green on their team. So um yeah, I don't know. I I just have this feeling, man. I can't describe it. I can't describe it. I kind of feel like the Pacers are gonna win.
the power of friendship. I love
I
it.
really I can't describe it. I don't know why. And I think I told you I might have said this on the pod, but even like maybe before this run has felt like it really has been reminiscent of the 2011 Mavericks run.
Yeah.
And Rick Carlisle being at the forefront of it is awesome, even if it's done in a different manner, right? I mean, that was a lot more Dirk takeover, and then like you get the game by game performances from the side stars. But there's just some I don't know, just it's like a feeling in the air. I feel like the Pacers are gonna do it.
Feels a little Raptorsy too, like 2019,
Hmm.
where it's like, oh yeah, you were the two seed, but so what? Kind of buried in the East. Like Giannis was amazing, and the Warriors obviously were like the prohibitive favorites. And
And they're gonna keep proving us wrong at every step, despite that.
right, um, so no, super super hype.
That stadium, by the way, today though, I would love to get a decibel meter. It is gonna be
Oh
rocking. It is gonna be rocking. Dude, if I'm a Thunder fan, like 20 years ago, I didn't have a team, and then I stole it from Seattle. But but like 20 years ago, I didn't have a team, and like 20 years later, I'm watching Game 7 of like my MVP homegrown, pretty much.
yeah, it is
Uh,
right.
but
Another
yeah,
yeah,
homegrown. Yeah, yeah, awesome.
yeah. Two great franchises. I maybe we'll talk about this more over the off season too, like the discourse. I was telling somebody who was asking, like, so what's up with these two teams? And I was like, man, this final's been amazing, but y'all don't care because it's OKC and it's Indiana, so it's not
But
new.
you know what? That's how it goes. It'll be an
That's
amazing finals, and next year when the OKC Thunder go back, people are going to tune in. Like that's just how this goes. Like I think it's unfortunate, but I think it's just how it goes. The stars haven't been developed. Like Tyrese Halliburton, even I don't think Tyrese Halliburton's like a top six player in the NBA, right? So it's yeah, I don't know.
it's exciting. Um, hell
But
yeah.
it's how it goes. This is the first step to this is the first step to the new generation of like the post LeBron. This series, in my opinion, is the first
Hey,
true.
last year,
Ah,
Luca and Tatum.
it didn't feel that way. It
Yeah,
didn't feel
you're right.
that
You're right. Did
because
not
because
feel it.
also the Celtics were in the finals with the same core against Steph Curry.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why it doesn't feel that way. And also, I mean, they were also competing against LeBron on the Cavs.
Yeah, that is a great point. They
Yeah,
were
like the Celtics feel like a little too like they just but like this Thunder and these Pacers at least have never played LeBron
right.
um
Yeah, only Miles
or
Turner.
Steph Curry. Yeah, exactly. Almost. So
Yeah. Wow, good point. Uh,
interesting stuff. But yeah, that's why I feel like the series is like the first step in the next gen, and that's why I'm really happy it's a great series because I think that will help the future NBA Finals up. Yeah. Like I think this was bound to happen to a certain extent, and the fact that if this was a 4 game sweep by the Thunder and Shea had 30 points a game on 12 free throws a game, that would not be good.
be terrible.
Yeah. So, as much as I do agree, it sucks that people aren't watching because this is an amazing series. At least we're getting the amazing series now.
Yeah, thank goodness. All right, Max. So I got a quiz for you. Um, I was looking at kind of, I think this was spurred from a conversation we had a while ago about the Celtics. And honestly, it's related to this. Like OKC has been super successful in general, right? Um, and Boston has only missed one playoffs since 2008. So I was curious how successful in terms of just making the playoffs. That's it. No other category, like how far did you advance or anything. Teams have been since the year 2000, this century. At
Oh,
how
since
frequent
year 2000.
Since the year 2000, how frequent have they made the playoffs? So what I'm gonna have you do, and there are some weird teams in here. This does require some of the early 2000s knowledge. I thought 2010 on would be a little bit too easy.
Mhm.
But I also don't want it to be like you have to get it right or wrong, and I don't want you to say the answers. But I'll give you a team like square down the middle. The Brooklyn Nets and the Houston Rockets have both been in the playoffs 14 of the last 25 years. So they missed
Mm.
11 of the seasons. Very interesting. So what I'm going to have you do is guess the top five and then the bottom five. But I'll give you can do three of the top five, as in you
Okay,
can have
okay.
a couple of misses.
I think I can get
You
this.
just can you get three of the top five
Yeah.
of the most playoff appearances and then three of the bottom five fewest.
Three of the top five of most. I think I got it right now.
Cool.
Uh, Celtics,
Yep.
Celtics, Spurs, Mavericks.
Okay, so you're correct. Celtics have made it 21 out of 25 years, which is crazy. Spurs have made it 20 out of 25, and iconically, it was 20 straight years. And then the
Mhm.
Mavericks have made it 19 out of 25.
And then the Heat, and then the Heat
The
also.
Heat
Okay.
have also made it 20 out of 25. So you got the top four right there.
That's the
So
top four. I'm not sure. Should I guess the fifth?
it's these are weird teams, but you can try.
Is the Cavs?
It is not the Cavs. The Cavs are where are the Cavs? Weirdly only 12 for 25 because
Oh, but
were
they
no
had deep playoff
LeBron.
runs.
They deep.
Yeah.
So, um,
Pacers?
Pacers, yes, sir, Max. That's the top five right there. Pacers have made it 18 out of 25 years from 2000 2006, then the Paul George era, then the Oladipo, well, post Paul George, Oladipo, and then last 2 years. Wow,
Wow,
good.
I'm pretty sure about that.
You just,
Well,
you just
the thing is, I think the two other evident guesses here are the Warriors and Lakers, but I know the Warriors didn't make the playoffs for the first 10 years of 2000s, and the Lakers have had too many 2 year stretches where they missed the playoffs.
wow,
Damn, that's
very,
awesome.
very impressive.
I am hyped about that.
Very,
I
very,
am turnt.
yeah.
Well, can I
I'll
ask
say
where are the Thunder are not bottom five, I'm assuming? Can I
they're
ask where
they're in
they
the middle. They're in
can
the
I ask
middle.
where they fell? And do they include the Supersonics for those ones?
Yes, I include the
Okay.
Super Teams. Yeah, they
Uh,
they they made 15 of the last 25. So, but Pacers, man, they've been around.
Okay, bottom five?
Bottom five.
I think I got this too.
Yeah. All right.
Wizards,
The Wizards have made only 9 out of 25.
which is bottom five or no?
It's bottom five. Yeah, bottom
Okay,
five.
okay, cool.
It's
I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
um, I was gonna do a follow up of like the Hornets, Bobcats, Hornets slash
You're
Pelicans, like
correct.
Howard, but I assume that's one of them. Yeah,
That is correct. That's 6 out of 25. That's the worst.
dope or not dope for them, but
Not for them.
not for them. Um, okay, that was the two that I had instantly out of the top of my head. I'm trying to think of some other teams. I think there are some sleeper teams I'm kind of thinking of, but I'm staying away from. Um, because the Nets were too good at the beginning, and then they had too many playoff makes in the interim. I think the Magic, similar. Kind of want to pick them, but yeah, they had like too many makes with Dwight, too many makes with Vucevic, too many makes Paolo now. Um,
So I'll tell you now of like the top or the bottom five. You have a
mhm.
couple teams with 10 appearances, one other team with 9, and then a team with 8.
Mm. Oh, the Grizzlies.
Actually, no. The
Oh,
Grizzlies have been quite successful because you got to think of the grit and grind.
I do have to think of the Green I did not think about that at all.
So they've made 14 out of 25.
Damn.
Yeah, that that is those boys. So they 14 out of 25. So not quite, but I think bad playoff teams. There are a few of them. Uh,
Who am I blank? I'm blanking out on. I gotta be blanking out on someone obvious.
there's one team I consider pretty obvious. And like if this was a couple years ago, you probably would have guessed them off the rip.
Because
But
they're like, oh, Pistons. Or no, we already said the Pistons are middle of the pack too.
Pistons are not.
Um, damn, who am I blanking out on?
Pistons are close to the bottom, but they're not bottom five.
Oh, almost like let me look at a list of NBA teams that defeats the whole
Yeah,
purpose.
yeah, yeah.
This whole exercise. Um, damn, not the Clips, not the Bulls are interesting, but I don't think of them. Yeah. What about the Bulls actually?
So the Bulls and the Pistons and the Cavs have all made
Oh, no.
out of 25, so they're just past. And the Warriors, so they're just
Just getting
past.
first round. Yeah, the Bulls are just getting first round or making every year, dude. Those losers. Um, damn. 10, you said is fifth
There's
bottom.
fifth is 10. There's two teams tied for 10 appearances, and there's two teams with nine. You said one of them with the Wizards. There's a team with eight, and then there's the six. Yikes, with the Hornets.
I mean, oh, the Kings.
Yes, sir. There it is. Eight
Okay.
for 25. They made it 7 straight years to start the decade and then light the beam in 2023.
Can I keep guessing?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
The Knicks?
The Knicks, 10
Okay. Okay,
appearances.
there we go. That was the one that was like in the back of my mind this whole time, but I wasn't sure if they had made it early 2000s like once or twice at
They
all.
made
But
it twice, but then yeah, they nothing really.
um,
So good stuff.
who's the is the, I guess the other team is just the easy guess Pelicans.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
That's 9 for 25.
that
So there you go.
yeah. I mean, I got like all the other. Yeah, I mean, it was process elimination for those ones.
But
So.
hey, impressive, impressive. I mean, you got the good teams like really quick. That was
Hey, I'll take it. But with that, I guess we'll I'm pretty happy with that performance.
yeah,
I guess we'll wrap this up. I'm gonna try to get this posted before the finals game seven tonight. We won't have an instant reaction for you guys. And frankly, at this point, not exactly sure if we'll have a podcast before the NBA draft on Wednesday, on Thursday, don't remember. But at minimum, we'll have a reaction right after that and all the trades that probably will go down on that day. So yeah,
very excited.
with that. Um, hopefully I get this posted ASAP so you guys can take a watch of this before the finals or maybe during the finals. And you can see which one of us was right with our predictions.
Max, what are you doing to watch the game?
I'm just gonna go watch it with a bunch of my other friends who are fellow ball enjoyers. No one a Pacers fan, no one a Thunder fan.
Yeah,
Just a lot of adjacent fans who all hate the New York Knicks and are uniting to watch the
love
game.
that. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna throw out some food on the grill, get the TV outside, and just sit back and watch. Super excited.
Dude, that'd be nice. There, yeah. Throw some food on the grill for Chet. Throw some oxtails on that.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Represent his culture, his Spokane,
You seen
Spokane.
the Spokane, Washington? You seen the Drewski skit where it's like
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
white dude truck? Yeah, that was
White
really
chocolate.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
white chocolate. Although white chocolate, honestly, he,
It,
he might actually be making oxtails. I don't know.
yeah, he might. Um, he,
Um, yeah,
well, we'll see, Chad. If you ball out tonight, we'll take it back.
yeah. Well, we'll send you some oxtails. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done with those stories. Yeah, I guess that's all I got. You got anything else?
No, thank y'all for rounding out the third finals of the Spittin Hoops era.
Yes, sir.
Episode 84. So we love y'all. Excited to watch some hoops tonight and spit some
But wait,
hoops. Yes, sir.
this is second on the Spin Hoops tier list for finals, right?
I mean, for me, yeah, for sure.
Like the Celt. Oh,
Celtics was the
damn.
best. Yeah,
Fuck.
for sure.
Yeah.
This is the best, but this is
Did
the
we
best finals.
did we pod? We didn't pod for the Warriors final. We don't have a pod yet for
We
the
did
Warriors.
we did Nuggets.
Damn.
That was 2023. Sorry.
Yeah, that one was mid though. That one was mid. Our content was good during that time.
Yeah.
Now we're washed up.
Yeah, nah, easy.
Yeah, but
Oh yeah. No, dude, but very excited. Well, love y'all. Thanks for sticking around. Keep listening to us, and we're gonna keep it pushing. Got a lot of good content ready for the summer too. So
yes, sir.
we'll be here spinning hoops as always, baby. Y'all for 85.